Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been about a week since we've done it today in Tarkov. Kind of took a little bit of time off from content creation. I don't want to say I was burned out, but we'll just say I'm tired. But let's get you that tit you've been so desperately craving and get you caught back up in all things Tarkov. Last time we talked, BSG had instituted a queue system for the game, temporary, but it's still here. So BSG has stated this many times over and over again that it's going to be temporary. So not to get too worried, that's not going to be here to stay. That being said, it was done to address back-end issues, and those back-end issues are still in the game. Even after drops are done, we're seeing all sorts of drops from getting booted from the game, flea market issues, things like that. Nikita doesn't like the queues. He said as much. He's apologized every time he goes on and talks. He's apologized over and over again that they're having problems. He's really sorry that this is going on, but they are working through their holidays to fix them. Some of the staff had some time off for Christmas, but all the engineers have been working through what essentially is their holiday, which was up until the 7th of December, and haven't had any time off yet. So hopefully they can get these problems fixed, not just for our sake, but so those guys can get some much deserved time off. There's been a lot of talk about grace periods, and according to Nikita, there was one. They had one instituted for a while that if you got booted, you could get back in without a queue. But the problem was, because the server issues were kicking a bunch of people at the same time, essentially you'd have tens of thousands of people trying to re-queue back in all at the same time, and the same problem would happen. So they had to get rid of the queue system. However, there still is somewhat of a bypass to the queue system. If you are in raid, it looks like you don't get hit with a queue. So if you get disconnected while you're in raid or something, you can log right back in and get back into raid. So if you need to restart your computer because your flea market's hung up or performance issues or any of the number of dozens of reasons we all restart Tarkov, you can get around the queue by going in on a scav raid, get into raid, actually in raid, shut Tarkov down. Don't exit, Alt F4, Control Alt Delete, whatever you want to do, then log back in. That should skip the queue. I don't want to say it's 100% because I've only done it, a handful of times. I've done it 3 or 4 times now. It's worked for me every time. So if you're stuck with not being able to reset your game and you want to, and you're worried about queues, at least give that a try. Tied in with all this, there was supposed to be a really big dev cast yesterday. That has now been delayed. It's going to be a couple of weeks, according to Nikita. All the people that would have worked on the devcast were needed to work on server issues, which they're still working on. So until they get the servers issues fixed, they're not going to worry about any kind of dev stream. And he said it'd probably be a few weeks, so maybe that's a timeline on what we think it's going to get these issues fixed. Hopefully it's not that long, but a couple of weeks and we'll get the big devcast. So there was a big patch this morning of the 9th, January 9th. And it removed the Christmas event. So the Christmas tree's gone, as you can see here. It got rid of Santa Claus, so no more worried about getting snuck up on shooting him and losing karma. Your Christmas balls are still here. You still get them. I still have them. They didn't disappear. They didn't magically vanish. You just sell them to the trader. They're still worth money. The purple ones are worth quite a little bit. The white and red ones really not so much. Not great loot, but you can sell them to therapist, and I've got a spinning wheel of death, so probably won't sell, but you can see here you can sell and make a little bit of money, and you're still finding them in raid. We found them in safes and things like that, so they're still turning up, but there's nothing to do with them but sell them to the vendors. If you were crafting anything in your hideout and you didn't collect it, it's gone, period. That's all there is to it. If you were in the middle of a weapon case, sorry, you missed out, but there's nothing to be done about that. And again, with Santa Claus being gone, there's a lot of people that got kind of posed because they shot Santa and lost karma. Kind of part of the event. I wouldn't expect any help here, but I saw a great tweet from Batty. He mentioned maybe doing some daily tasks or weekly tasks to build your fence rep back up. I think that would be a fair shake. People can work towards it if they want to. If they don't, it's not there. It wouldn't be too easily abused by people. And I hope they don't do another event like last wipe where they just basically gave a chance for everybody to get max scav karma, because it makes scav karma almost worthless. It isn't something special. Everybody had it. Now, if you see people with 6 scav karma, it's something unique. So hopefully they don't do that, but they do give people a way to get back to 0, so they're not hosed on scav karma because of Santa. Now, one other issue I want to bring up as people are seeing is the flea market. Let me find a good one here, and we'll go look at wires, just because lots of people sell wires, right? Bundles of wires. You see all these reds, right? Out of stock. You got to go 2 or 3 pages sometimes to find what you want to buy. Real simple thing you can do is you go up to your filters up here. Remember to click remember selected filter, because this will save it for the rest of the time you're in here. Change your quantity from 0 here, your minimum quantity, to 1, and boom, all of those red ones are gone. But you have to keep in mind that if you go to look at, let's see if AP is sold out. If anything's sold out, it's not going to show up on the trader. So if once he sells out and this goes to 0, you know, all of the APs bought, we're going to buy ours just because we're here and I don't want to forget. That will disappear. It will not show up on here because it's 0. So just keep that in mind. Vendor stuff doesn't disappear. If it's sold out, it just goes away with this filter on. And then one thing that didn't change or hasn't had much happen with it is airdrops. Airdrops are still in the game. I haven't seen one personally myself yet, but several people in the Discord have seen them. I've seen other streamers get them since the patch. So airdrops are still in the game. So that's cool. It wasn't a temporary event. We can still see them. I hope they're rare, but they're in the game, so it's another interesting dynamic that we'll get to make some more choices for us as we play. BSG also tweeted out an infographic this morning talking about the New Year's event, the drops event, and everything that went on with that. Lots of data here, but some of the ones that stuck out to me, a little over 658,000 Christmas trees are built. So that kind of gives you a good feel about how many active players there were during this event, because there were 658,000 accounts that built them. As far as concurrent players go, I don't know how much you can glean from that. Maybe there's 500, 400,000, whatever it is, people logged in at the same time, but it's going to be a pretty good chunk of that number, people playing Tarkov all at the same time. Another crazy one that jumped out at me was that there was 82, a little over 80, almost 82.5 million hours watched of Twitch. Quick math for you, that's almost 3.5 million days, or a little over 9,400 years. That's how much time we all spent with Twitch open farming drops, a little over 9,000 years of time. Now, to put this into perspective, this is worth hundreds of thousands, high hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to advertisers, which means that's what's worth to Twitch. And not just Twitch, because the content creators share in this as well. Can't talk about specifics. You're not allowed to talk about that stuff with profit share that you get from Twitch. But it's kind of exemplified here to stay because it's successful. It brings in money. It brings in revenue for Twitch. That's why they do it. And it's not going to go anywhere. If you don't like it, don't participate in it. That's all I can say, because even if you go AFK and you're sitting there, you're participating. But on the positive side of this, it changes the lives of hundreds, maybe even thousands of streamers, hundreds for sure. Me being one of them. You know, it gives a lot of people that are smaller streamers an opportunity to shine, to get in front of a lot of other people and get exposure that they wouldn't normally get. So for those of you that supported me and all the other content creators, especially the smaller ones, thank you from the bottom of my heart. My stream day on the 30th was like nothing I've ever experienced. And it was really special to me. It's going to be something I remember for the rest of my life. So those of you that were involved, thank you. But on this infographic, I didn't see anything talking about how many times Santa got killed, how much scav karma was lost. Those would be super cool stats, or maybe how many times players died to Santa because they shot him on accident, tried to run away, and Santa blasted them, or scavs killed by Santa. I think that would be a cool stat to see too, if anybody at BSG is listening. Now, a kind of side news, I've seen lots of videos. I've seen people talking about changes to spawns, changes to what BSG does with data, this, that, and the other. It's kind of all peripheral fluff. It doesn't matter a whole lot. That's why I'm not going to talk about it. One, I haven't seen any really hard data on it myself. A couple of people like Logic, they have their things they post on tarkovchanges.com, and by all means go check them out. Good resource, but the data isn't 100% sure on what it is. Personally, I haven't seen anything change. My runs feel pretty much the same. I'm getting the same amount of loot as I usually get. I'm running into scav bosses the same amount as I always run into them. While I do feel for people that struggle to find scav bosses, I've never personally had a problem with it. You know, if anything, I run into them more often than I want to, especially Killa. But again, that's anecdotal, that's personal experience. But I guess what I can say is if you're new to Tarkov, especially if you've just showed up in the last couple of weeks, stick it out. It's gonna be worth it. This game is tough, it is brutal, and it is hard. And it's probably one of the only games out there that takes you 300 or 400 hours to get through the tutorial, because that's really what it takes in Tarkov, is several hundred hours to get through the tutorial. And yes, I know there's no tutorial in Tarkov, but that's what it is. It takes that much time to learn the game and actually start to understand it, enjoy it. But once you get there, it is definitely worth it. So if you're having a hard time because of technical issues right now, maybe take a couple of weeks off. It's not going to be a big deal. You're not going to be behind all these people on the wipe. You know, because somebody played 600 hours in you know, the first couple of weeks, I don't even know if you can do that, but in the first couple of months, we'll say, it doesn't mean that you're going to be behind them. You can play Tarkov at your pace. It's the beauty of it. So if you're having lots of issues, I'd say step back for a little while, ride it out, wait till some of the stuff gets fixed, and then come back to it when it's running great. Let us all be the guinea pigs and get it straightened out for you. Now, for me, quick little update, I guess. We dialed back the content a little. Probably any of you who watched it have noticed. 24-hour stream and the last few weeks of cranking out content kind of took it out of me. So I just kind of dialed back, spent some time with the Hamp family, played Tarkov for fun versus work, which there is kind of a difference playing off stream and on stream, or for content. But we're going to be back at it this week. We've already got a couple of videos we're starting on. I'm going to shoot for 3 a week. We'll see if we can stick with that. 3 like meaty, if you will, good content videos, and then we'll throw some gameplay in there for entertainment along with it to get some more. But 3 videos of some kind of guide content or update or market or hideout or whatever. We'll try to do that for you guys. But I want to say thank you for those of you that have been supporting the channel. Huge thank you. And it doesn't matter how you support, little, big, everybody in between. I greatly appreciate it. Even the shitheads, the douchebags, and the haters that show up in the comments, your comments are engagement and it helps. So thank you. But we'll wrap it up with that. Again, thank you to everybody who supports the channel. I don't want to make this too much of a sappy tit, but it felt like I needed to say it. So wish you the best of luck in your raids. I hope you don't get stuck in queues, and we'll see you in Tarkov.